Times Square goes dark. It began at 9:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. Times Square, the sleepless heart of New York, was alive with its usual chaos. Neon billboards screaming ads, tourists snapping photos, street performers hustling for tips. Then, without warning, every light died. The city's heartbeat stopped. For 3 full seconds, there was only darkness and the confused murmurs of thousands of people. Then the screens flickered back to life, but not with commercials. Every single display showed the same image. Thor. Not the Thor Peter Parker knew. Not the broad-shouldered, laughing god who'd once bought him a hot dog after a mission. This Thor's face was pale, almost gray, his eyes glowing an unnatural electric blue. His hair hung damp and tangled, as if he'd just stepped out of a storm. And when he spoke, his voice was wrong, layered, distorted, like a chorus of whispers under the thunder. Thor, on every screen, the light is a lie. The shadow is truth. Look into me and be free. People froze. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was a stunt. Others stared, transfixed. Peter, perched on the side of a building in his suit, felt his stomach drop. Something about Thor's eyes made his spider sense scream. Not the usual sharp jolt, but a deep, crawling dread that spread through his bones. Then the screaming started. The horror unfolds. It began with a man in a Yankees cap. He'd been staring at the screen for too long. His body went rigid, his mouth opening in a silent gasp. Then his shadow, stretched long by the glow of the screens, began to move. Not with him. Without him. The shadow's head turned toward the nearest person. Its arms elongated, fingers sharpening into claws. And then, impossibly, it peeled itself off the ground. The man collapsed. Eyes rolled back as his own shadow lunged at the crowd. Panic erupted. People shoved and tripped over each other, trying to escape as more shadows began to detach from their owners. They moved like liquid smoke, slipping between legs, climbing walls, dragging screaming victims into the darkness between buildings. Peter didn't hesitate. He swung down into the chaos, webbing one of the shadows mid-leap. The web stuck, but the thing didn't struggle. It simply dissolved in a black mist, slipping through the strands like water. Peter, thinking okay, that's new and bad. The cursed broadcast. Peter's calm crackled. It was MJ, monitoring from their apartment. MJ, Pete, it's not just Times Square. Every screen in the city is showing that feed. Phones, TVs, billboards, even smart fridges. And anyone who watches too long, Peter, yeah, I've seen what happens. Any idea where it's coming from? MJ, triangulating. Hold up, you're not going to like this. The signal's bouncing through a Stark satellite uplink, and the origin point is moving. Peter swung up to a rooftop, scanning the skyline. In the distance, a faint blue glow pulsed above the Hudson, like a heartbeat in the clouds. The chase. He launched himself toward it, weaving between skyscrapers. The glow grew brighter, resolving into a hovering mass of metal. A Stark Industries relay drone, the size of a small car, its panels warped and covered in jagged black crystal. As Peter approached, the drone's speakers crackled. Voice distorted, layered, "You're late, little spider." The drone's panels unfolded, revealing a hollow interior. Inside, suspended in a web of black-blue energy, was Mjolnir. It sparked violently, arcs of alien lightning leaping between the hammer and the drone's frame. The air around it shimmered with heat. Peter, Thor, buddy, you in there. The hammer twitched, and the voice came again, deeper now. Voice, Thor's mine. The first attack. The drone fired without warning. A beam of concentrated blue lightning ripped through the air, narrowly missing Peter as he flipped backward. The blast hit a nearby rooftop, vaporizing a water tower in a hiss of steam. Peter fired webs at the drone's sensors, blinding it, then swung in close. He reached for Mjolnir, and the moment his fingers brushed the handle, his vision exploded. The vision. He was standing in a void of endless black. Thor was there, but not as Peter remembered. His body was covered in jagged crystal, his eyes burning with alien fire. Behind him loomed a shape too vast to comprehend, a silhouette made of shifting shadows, its edges glitching like corrupted video. Thor, Peter, run. Shadow voice, stay. The shadow's tendrils wrapped around Thor, pulling him back into the darkness. Peter tried to move, but his feet were rooted to the ground. The shadow turned its faceless head toward him. Shadow voice, you will join him. Back to reality. Peter gasped, stumbling back on the rooftop. The drone was gone. In its place, a trail of black mist drifted toward the skyline. His comm crackled again. MJ, Pete, the signal just spiked. It's not just New York anymore. It's global. Peter's heart pounded. If this thing could possess people through a broadcast, the entire planet was in danger. The suspense reveal. He followed the mist to an abandoned Stark satellite uplink station on the edge of the city. The place was dark, silent, the air thick with dust. In the center of the main room, Mjolnir lay embedded in the floor, still sparking with alien lightning. Peter approached cautiously. The hammer's glow pulsed in time with his heartbeat. Peter, Thor, if you can hear me, I'm going to fix this. I promise. The lights flickered. The speakers crackled. Voice, deep. Alien, you're next, Spider. The shadows in the corners of the room began to move. The shadows close in. The shadows hit like a wave. Peter's spider sense was a constant scream as the black shapes lunged from the walls of the abandoned uplink station. They moved wrong. Too fast, too fluid, their limbs stretching and bending like liquid. Their eyes glowed faintly blue, the same alien hue that had burned in Thor's. Peter vaulted over the first one, firing a web that pinned it to the ceiling. It didn't struggle. It just melted, dripping down the strands like oil and reforming on the floor. Peter, thinking, okay, so physics is optional for these guys. He fired a rapid spread of webs, sealing the doorway, then sprinted for Mjolnir. The hammer's glow pulsed faster as he approached, almost like it was reacting to him. The voice returns. The room's speakers crackled. Voice, layered. Alien, you shouldn't be here, little spider. Peter froze. The voice wasn't just in the air. It was in his head, vibrating in his skull. Peter, yeah, well, I got a friend who's not himself right now. I'm here to fix that. A low, distorted chuckle. Voice, Thor is better than he has ever been. He sees the truth now. Soon you will too. The shadows surged again. Peter grabbed Mjolnir's handle, and the world dissolved. Inside the signal, he was standing in a place that wasn't a place, a void of static and flickering light. The ground beneath him was a shifting mosaic of images. Asgard's golden towers, New York skyline, alien landscapes he didn't recognize. And there, in the center, was Thor. But not the Thor he knew. His armor was fused with jagged black crystal, his skin marked with glowing runes. His eyes burned with alien fire, and his voice, when he spoke, was layered with something else, something older. Thor, Peter, you shouldn't have come. Peter, yeah, I'm getting that a lot lately. What happened to you? Before Thor could answer, the static around them rippled, and a new figure emerged. The villain revealed, the Shadow Architect. It was tall, impossibly thin, its body made of shifting shadow and shards of light. Its face was a blank void, but Peter could feel it looking at him. Architect, I am the Shadow Architect. I build in the spaces between light. I have worn many gods. Now, I wear this one. Peter's fists clenched. Peter, you're using him. Let him go. Architect, why would I release my finest work? Thor is a perfect conduit, strong enough to hold me, beloved enough to bring the others willingly. The static floor shifted, showing images of other heroes. Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, even Hulk, their eyes glowing blue. The first indirect clash. Peter lunged, firing webs at the architect. The strands hit and instantly turned black, crawling back toward him like living snakes. He ripped them off, flipping backward as Thor swung Mjolnir, the corrupted lightning tearing through the void. Peter dodged, firing a web line to Thor's arm and yanking him off balance. For a split second, Thor's eyes flickered gold. Thor weakly held. Then the blue returned, and the architect laughed. Back in the real world, Peter's eyes snapped open. He was back in the uplink station, Mjolnir still in his hands, but now it was sparking violently, arcs of alien lightning leaping to the walls. The shadows froze, then melted into the floor, retreating. MJ's voice crackled in his ear. MJ, Pete, whatever you just did, the signal spiked. It's broadcasting stronger than ever. Peter, yeah, I think I just met the guy behind it. The horror spreads. Over the next hours, reports flooded in. The cursed broadcast was no longer limited to New York. It was appearing in cities worldwide. People were collapsing in the streets, their shadows peeling away to join the growing swarm. Peter swung through Manhattan, taking down shadow creatures wherever he could, but it was like trying to stop a flood with a paper cup. Everywhere he went, he saw Thor's face on screens, speaking in that alien voice. Thor broadcast, "The light is a lie. The shadow is truth. Join me." The shocking twist. Back at his apartment, Peter pored over the data MJ had pulled from the uplink station. The signal's origin point wasn't just bouncing through satellites. It was coming from inside Thor's mind. Peter, he's the transmitter. MJ, which means? Peter, which means the only way to shut it down is to go in after him. MJ stared at him. MJ, you're talking about diving into an alien-corrupted God's brain. Peter, yeah. Tuesday night in New York. The neural dive. Peter raided one of Stark's old labs, cobbling together a prototype neural dive rig, a mix of VR tech, EEG scanners, and alien signal dampeners. It looked like a cross between a motorcycle helmet and a torture device. As he adjusted the settings, he caught his reflection in the visor, and his reflection smiled. He hadn't. The neural dive rig hummed like a living thing. Peter sat in the chair, helmet locked in place, MJ's voice steady in his ear. MJ, vitals are green. Neural sync at 92%. You got maybe 10 minutes before your brain starts cooking. Peter, plenty of time. I'll be back before you can say alien mind parasite. MJ, not funny. The world blinked out. The signal realm. Peter opened his eyes to find himself standing in a twisted version of New York. The streets were empty, the buildings flickering between solid and transparent, like bad holograms. Every window reflected his face, but the eyes were wrong. They were Thor's. The sky was a static storm, lightning flashing in alien blue. Shadows moved along the walls, even though there was no light to cast them. Peter, thinking, okay, welcome to Nightmare NYC. The first encounter, a deep rumble, shook the street. Thor stepped out from behind a flickering skyscraper, Mjolnir in hand. His armor was fused with jagged crystal, his skin marked with glowing runes. His eyes burned with the architect's light. Thor, you shouldn't have come, Spider. Peter, yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately. Guess I'm bad at listening. Thor swung Mjolnir. The air itself seemed to tear, a wave of alien lightning ripping toward Peter. He flipped over it, firing webs, but the strands turned black mid-air, writhing like snakes before disintegrating. The horror escalates. All around them, the city began to change. Windows shattered without sound. Street lamps bent into claw-like shapes. And from every doorway, people stepped out, their eyes pitch black, their shadows stretching unnaturally. They didn't speak. They just stared. Peter, okay, that's not creepy at all. The crowd moved as one, advancing. Peter's spider sense was a constant scream. The fight. There came at him hard. Every swing of Mjolnir cracked the ground, sending shards of crystal and static into the air. Peter dodged, using the environment, swinging from glitching fire escapes, kicking off walls that flickered in and out of existence. But Thor was faster, stronger, and the architect was using him like a puppet. Architect, through Thor, you can't save him. You can only join him. The real world burns. In the real world, MJ watched in horror as Peter's body convulsed in the neural dive chair. Outside the lab, the shadow plague was spreading, people collapsing in the streets, their shadows peeling away to attack others. The skyline glowed with alien lightning as the real Thor, still possessed, tore through Manhattan. The turning point. Back in the signal realm, Thor caught Peter mid-swing, slamming him into the ground hard enough to crack the street. Peter's vision blurred. The crowd of hollow-eyed civilians closed in, their shadows reaching for him. Thor, join us, Peter. It's easier. Peter, yeah, I'm not really a joiner. He fired a web line to Mjolnir, yanking it just enough to throw Thor off balance. For a heartbeat, Thor's eyes flickered gold. Thor, weakly helm. Then the blue returned, and the architect roared. The memory loop. Peter's eyes snapped open, but he wasn't in the real world. He was standing on a frozen plain under a black sky. Snow whipped across the ground, stinging his face. In the distance, a crater glowed faintly blue. Thor was there, trudging toward it, Mjolnir in hand. His breath steamed in the cold. Peter tried to call out, but his voice didn't carry. It hit him. He wasn't here. He was inside a memory. Thor reached the crater's edge. Inside, half buried in ice, was the meteor. It cracked open. The birth of the architect. From the meteor's core, a shape unfolded. A living shadow threaded with veins of light, its form constantly shifting. It had no face, but Peter felt its gaze. Architect, in memory, god of thunder. You are strong. You are worthy. You will be mine. The shadow surged forward, wrapping around Thor like a cloak. Mjolnir's lightning flared and turned alien blue. The memory froze. The architect turned toward Peter. The confrontation. Architect, you wanted the truth, little spider. Here it is. I am older than your son. I have worn kings, gods, and worlds. Thor is my finest vessel. Peter clenched his fists. Peter, you're a parasite. Architect, I am an architect. I build empires in the dark. And you are my next foundation. The static around them shifted, showing flashes of Peter's own life. His first swing through the city, the moment he was bitten, every battle he'd fought. In each memory, there was a shadow just out of sight. The twist, spider sense origin. Architect, that tingle you feel before danger? That is me. A fragment I left in you years ago. You have always been mine. Peter's stomach turned. His spider sense, the thing that had saved him countless times, was alien. The offer. Architect, join me. Merge with me. You will have the power to save Thor, to save your world. Refuse, and I will erase him. Thor appeared beside the architect, eyes glowing, face blank. Thor, Peter, the fight in the mind. Peter lunged, tackling Thor. They crashed through memory after memory. Asgard burning, the Bifrost shattering, the Avengers falling one by one. Each scene twisted, the architect's shadow creeping in at the edges. Thor fought back, but every blow he landed was guided by the architect. Peter's punches slowed. His strength was fading. The impossible choice. The architect's voice filled the void. Architect, one life for another. Take my hand, and Thor is free. Or keep fighting and watch him die. Thor's eyes flickered gold for a heartbeat. Thor, don't do it. Peter looked at his friend, the god who'd save him more times than he could count, and then at the shadow. He took a deep breath. Peter, take me. The host has changed. The first thing Peter felt was the cold. Not the kind that bites your skin, the kind that seeps into your bones, into your thoughts. He opened his eyes to find himself standing on a rooftop in New York, but the city was wrong. The sky was a swirling vortex of static and alien blue lightning. Every building's windows showed his reflection, but the eyes staring back weren't his. They were the architect's. Architect, inside Peter's head, you are mine now, and through you the world. Thor's return. A thunderclap split the sky. Thor descended in a blaze of golden lightning, armor restored, eyes clear for the first time in weeks. He landed hard, Mjolnir in hand, the ground cracking beneath him. Thor, release him, architect. Face me. Peter's mouth moved, but it wasn't his voice. Architect, through Peter, you are no longer my vessel, God. You are prey. The battle begins. Thor charged. Peter moved faster than he ever had, the architect's power surging through him. Every punch landed like a hammer blow. Every leap carried him across rooftops in a single bound. Mjolnir clashed with Peter's web blades, strands of black-blue energy that sliced through steel. Lightning met shadow, the air between them boiling with power. The horror in the streets. Below, the shadow plague raged. Civilians with hollow eyes wandered aimlessly, their shadows peeling away to attack anything that moved. The city's lights flickered, each pulse spreading the architect's influence further. Thor knew they were running out of time. The turning point. Thor feinted left, then slammed Mjolnir into the rooftop, sending a shockwave that knocked Peter back. For a split second, Peter's eyes flickered brown. Peter, weakly Thor, ended. Thor, not like this. The architect roared, flooding Peter's body with power. Black crystal erupted along his arms, his voice deepening into a layered growl. The final gambit. Thor realized brute force wouldn't work. He needed to overload the architect, force it to release Peter or burn itself out. He raised Mjolnir high, summoning a storm unlike any before. Golden lightning spiraled into the clouds, mixing with the alien blue until the sky was a churning maelstrom. Thor, Peter, hold on. He hurled Mjolnir, not at Peter, but straight into the heart of the storm. The sacrifice. The lightning came down all at once, a column of pure energy that engulfed both of them. Peter screamed, the architect's shadow writhing and tearing at his skin. Thor stepped into the storm, grabbing Peter's shoulders, forcing the power through him. Architect, you will destroy him. Thor, better destroyed than yours. With a final roar, the shadow ripped free of Peter's body, dissolving into the storm. The sky cleared. Aftermath. Thor caught Peter as he collapsed, unconscious but breathing. The streets below were still, the shadow plague gone, the civilians waking in confusion. Thor, quietly, you did it, Spider of Midgard. Peter stirred, eyes opening slowly. For a moment, they were brown. Then, just for a heartbeat, they flashed alien blue. The viral twist ending. Days later, Peter stood alone on a rooftop, watching the city. Thor had returned to Asgard. The world thought it was over. Peter's comm buzzed, MJ's voice. MJ, Pete, you okay? You've been quiet. Peter, yeah, just thinking. He hung up, staring at the skyline. In the reflection of a nearby window, his mouth curled into a smile, but his real face didn't move. Architect's voice, whispering the web connects everything, and now so do I. Fade to black. The end? Spider-Man's darkest mission, saving Thor. Saga complete, white heavy checkmark.